Well, what's interesting about Bitcoin today, now that we're going to get more regulatory green lights, we're seeing institutional investors focus on this new asset class. And as they're learning about it, they're saying, wait a minute, this new asset class, or this component of a new asset class, Bitcoin, is going to reach 21 million units out there, 21 million Bitcoin out there at its peak, and no more from there on. Where are we now? We're already above 19.5 million units. And so if institutional investors are looking at this new asset class more seriously, and Bitcoin is really the first of its kind in a new asset class and will be, we believe, the biggest opportunity of them all, they must consider an allocation. And so supply demand, they're doing the arithmetic, and we see 1 million to 1.5 million by 2030. The probability of that has increased because of institutional.
Okay.
Well, I think it's a very big idea, and it's not just speculative. It's a global monetary system that is rules-based, it is private, it is digital, it is decentralized, and it is backed by the largest computer in the world, or the largest computing system. It's the most secure network in the world. So that's very important. Gold would be in the same category. Gold is a store of value. And it is fairly scarce. What's interesting, in the last year, with the last halving this April, the increase in Bitcoin, the number of Bitcoin per year, the percentage increase, dropped to roughly 0.9% per year. That is below the 1% long-term growth in the supply of gold. So it is becoming even more scarce than gold. And the difference between gold and Bitcoin is when the gold price goes up, as it has, production goes up, the rate of increase in the supply goes up. That cannot happen with Bitcoin. It is mathematically metered to go up now 0.9% per year for the next 4 years, and then the supply growth will be cut in half again. So we think you can use gold as a guide in terms of what this asset class is right now, at least. It's very definitely a store of value, a digital store of value, and it's a very big idea from our point of view. You can also go to our big ideas, arkinvest.com, Big Ideas 2023, and see how we get to that $1.5 million by 2030 in our bull case.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher, and you know I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And make sure you join the Patrons. If you're not a part of the Patrons, make sure you're hitting the Cash App. And also, guys, make sure you go like and follow the TikTok. More videos to come. And we have Cathie Wood says the regulation is going to bring in institutions when it comes to Bitcoin. But again, guys, we know these big banks and big corporations have been in the digital asset space from the beginning. It's just be behind the scenes. If you do your research, you look at the funding, it's the same big corporations and big banks. And she says Bitcoin will hit about 1 million to 1.5 million by 2030. And what did I tell you guys? The only way that can happen if Bitcoin is the checking account for the machines. And I can definitely see that happening. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you. And we have Jim Cramer says the Fed shouldn't have cut rates if they're data dependent. And we saw yield rates drop because they knew Jerome Powell was going to be cutting 25 basis points. As soon as we received the cut, yield rates rose. We have mortgage rates at 7%, and we know that's hurting the builders, but we know those affordable homes are right around the corner. They just need that crisis. And these affordable homes are going to be built by automation, these 3D printed homes. And it's going to drive down the price of housing. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. And we have Trump tariffs, and we know it's going to cause inflation, and that's the reason why they're stepping up the movies. Now we have Trump and Elon, who are not even in office, controlling the current Congress, and you heard nothing from Biden. Guys, you can't make this stuff up. Remember, your life is an illusion, and TV is your reality. And then we have the Brics, led by China. And now we're hearing the narrative that I was waiting on. And they keep pushing this narrative with these drones, and now including China. And these tariffs are going to escalate the battle that's going to eventually happen. China versus the U.S. And we keep hearing how China's technology is so advanced. And we know for a fact that's a lie. You know, I brought you plenty of videos going all the way back to the 80s on how we gave all this technology to China. And they put out all the narratives I speak about, the cyber attacks, water supply, banking account. All the NWO needs is that one crisis to bring in all this technology. Remember, in a crisis, you can do things you never would have been able to get away with. And remember, the crypto teacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
Let's start with the Fed. I play with an open hand. I think Jay Powell's doing a fabulous job what he does. The only Fed chair since Paul Volcker in my lifetime who knows he has the power to take control of a difficult situation and do the right thing no matter what. Powell's been very true to his word, which is integral to maintaining his integrity and the integrity of the institution, which has never been a doubt. When he says he'll do something, the markets believe in him. That's because he has a lot of credibility. But yesterday I felt that Powell had a setback. I'll be a momentary. Because he didn't telegraph his views ahead of time. It was a tough call to cut rates by 25 basis points only because he made it a tough call. I think he felt that the Fed had to cut rates because he believed that would help bring down mortgage rates and auto loan rates, solving two of the most intractable sources of inflation left in this country. But immediately after the first cut in September, double cut, long-term rates went up, not down. See, that was a sign that big bondholders weren't buying the need to cut rates. They were more worried about inflation. That's fine. The Fed can defy the bond market for a spell. But Powell should have quickly pivoted after the second rate cut and told people he needed to see more weak economic data and lower inflation before making another move. He didn't do that. Instead, Powell consistently signaled that there would be a third rate cut, even as the data didn't justify it. If the Fed's supposed to be data-driven, then it had no business cutting rates yesterday. But Powell was trapped by his own prediction, one that he didn't need to make.
Chair Powell had said when they make actual decisions, they don't sort of act prospectively about what might change with policy. But when they write down their own projections, each of them gets to make their own judgment about what the likely outcome is. From my perspective, and I completely agree that the starting point for the economy right now is on very solid footing. And so we are in, as much as ever, a wait-and-see mode where the Fed has to see the data coming in to see what happens. I think there's huge uncertainty about how tariffs will be implemented. Are they going to come in all in one fell swoop? Will it be spread out over time? I think that matters a lot for what it means for inflation and what it means for growth. I'll add in there, though, I think the Fed, as well as a lot of folks in markets, underestimate just how negative for U.S. growth the tariffs are. So it is an inflation story, to be sure, but there's a big growth story as well.
The Musk-Johnson proposal is not serious. It's laughable. Extreme MAGA Republicans are driving us to a government shutdown.
To China, at least 17 U.S. military bases near Chinese-owned farmland, reportedly seeing a surge in drone activity and sightings in recent weeks. The sightings happening near bases in Hawaii and installations in Utah, California, Maine, and Florida. House Foreign Affairs Committee Chairman Michael McCall has been warning about the drones in focus these last couple of weeks. He says they're from China.
My judgment, based on my experience, is that those that are over our military sites are adversarial and most likely are coming from the People's Republic of China. Communist China is very good at this stuff. And we know they bought land around military bases. This would be very consistent with their policy over the last couple of years.
Alabama Senator Tommy Tuberville was with me this week. He weighed in on this yesterday. Watch this. Are we buying drones still from DJI, a Chinese drone maker?
Oh, we're buying drones from China. There's no doubt about that. I talked to a drone maker the other day, and basically I said, why are we buying drones from China? They have better technology, Maria, than what we have.
My guess is, and I've been saying this, that it is communist China. Your reaction?
It certainly is communist China for many of these drones, maybe even a majority of them. You know, the increased tempo of these drone flights against our military bases is occurring at the same time as there's increased frequency of incursions and attempted incursions of these bases by Chinese and other nationals. Really, what is occurring here is that they are preparing to attack the United States from American soil. I don't know why we need an engraved invitation from Beijing. It's clear what's going to happen.
Serious matter. China has, in fact, hacked into our telecommunications providers, some of them. And the extent of it is quite serious. And I should say that in response to that, we have taken action. Just today, our Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency published mobile communications best practices that everyone should read.
Retired four-star General Jack Key joins me now. General, don't we need a stronger response than a memo?
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt about it. And we're not properly organized to deal with this. Let me state a couple of facts here. China is conducting cyber warfare as an instrument of their national power in a way that we've not seen before. Russia is also very good at it. China, as we know, has stolen historically significant amounts of our intellectual property that's averaging somewhere in the neighborhood of $500 billion a year. This is the greatest transfer of funding and property in history. Secondly, what is happening here, China is using cyber warfare to penetrate some of our critical infrastructure while we're at peace, to understand what the challenges are associated with it. We know for a fact if conflict breaks out in the region, Stuart, China will weaponize their cyber capability to attack the homeland in the United States. To do what? While conflict is going on with hard power, they will use this to penetrate our systems here, the electric grid, to shut down electricity. They will shut down oil and gas. They will go after our water supply. They will shut down major pharmaceutical companies so there's no distribution of drugs. Go into the finance and banking system to shut down our access to funding. What is the intent of that? The intent of that is to break the will of the American people, to force them to take a knee and force the government of the United States to capitulate. So hard power would be used where China dominates us in the Indo-Pacific region right now, and they would use cyber warfare to break the will of the American people at home. This is
going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity, and if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of a huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we could have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Chinese bank ICBC has been hit by a ransomware attack, and the U.S. Treasury market, as a result of that, has been disrupted. This, according to the Financial Times. We're getting at more right now with Bloomberg's Shonali Bassick. Shonali, what do we know?
Listen, we have the Financial Times now reporting that ICBC, one of China's largest banks here, was hit with a ransomware attack. And remember, they're a very significant intermediary in the Treasury market. The SIFMA has told its members that this has been part of the reason here that the system is kind of clogged up, if you will, during that auction that we saw a little bit before. The attack had prevented ICBC, according to the Financial Times, from settling Treasury trades on behalf of other market participants. A large executive at a major bank also telling the paper that such a large party on the fixed income clearing corp creates major concerns, potentially impacting the liquidity of Treasury markets.
Now, it was not just a poor auction. It was absolutely lousy, and when the dealers have to step in to save a treasury auction, that's a rare occurrence. And
Cryptoteacher and the New World Order book, plus the 3 kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get home stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing, they were still getting that free money. What are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York from COVID Stories 3. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.